Good afternoon, everybody. I'm
Hey,
Stephanie Brown from Intelligent Construction Opportunities. I host these live streams as a way to connect with construction professionals looking to gain insights from software vendors and tech developers that are creating the technologies that construction professionals are using today. Specifically, we have an audience that consists of general contractors, subcontractors, and other construction professionals that are looking to understand more about the kinds of technologies out there, what those concepts are behind those technologies, so that construction professionals have a better understanding of what's going to actually help them, not only in the field, but in the back office, and more importantly, together as a team. So today our guests are from Trace Cost. They are based out of Calgary, Canada. They also have offices in India. And I'm going to turn it over to Ash, who will tell you more about Trace Cost before we begin our live stream today.
Uh, Thank you. First of all, a big thank you to Stephanie for arranging this live stream, and thanks to all of them who are a part of audience. Thank you for taking our time on a Friday and attending this live stream. We at Trace Cost, whosoever is present on the call, and our co-founders, we all come from engineering and construction management background, and we understand the industry nuances very well, and that is how Trace Cost was invented, and we started our operations in year 2019. To give you a brief background about Trace Cost, as Stephanie mentioned, we are a Calgary headquartered company. We have our proprietary construction management platform, and we call it as a platform and not a software because we don't offer a point solution. It's a mix of 10 plus modules which are present on Trace Cost platform at this point of time. Each of that platform caters to different aspect of project lifecycle. At present, Trace Cost is being used on 540 plus projects across the globe. We are working with mixed clients, which varies from small, medium, and enterprise customers and located across the globe. Some of our clients are based out of North America. We have few clients in Middle East, Africa, and South Asia. For a young company like us, it was a big validation wherein last year we raised our pre-series A funding of 2.5 million USD, wherein we were funded by one of the largest VCs in the world, which is active in the construction space, which is Tiger Global. With the funding in hand, we look forward to expanding our operations further within North America.
Very
Today,
good, Ash. Very good.
Today on this live stream, we get this opportunity to discuss and tell you more about Trace Cost, and we would be focusing more on construction management module, which is present in Trace Cost, and how it can help GC sub trades in their processes. Over to you, Vic. Thank you.
hey, thanks, Ash. So, as Ash told, Trace Cost offer a variety of solutions, but today we'll be specifically focused on the contract management system. And in a world like today, where data is the new oil, most of the industries are thriving on the basis of gathering data and utilizing it. However, the construction industry is losing big time on the data. It's really disheartening to see trillions of dollars of money is being wasted, and not like a lot of efforts are going into waste because of the rework. So on your slide, you would be able to see like what are the reasons why the construction projects fail. It's mainly because of the inadequate handling of the data, the documents, the contracts, mismanagements between the teams, a lack of accountability, who's doing what, and poor contract management system. The managers, they don't know when the contract is expiring, when to renew it, and on that basis, they lose a lot of money. So as per the FMI's statistics, every single year, construction industry is losing $1.8 trillion, and out of which $88 billion is something which was avoidable. So the rework costs a lot of time and the money, And if things are falling right into place with the right documentation, right communication, these reworks could be easily eradicated from the construction project, and the projects can match their schedule and the budget. So I would ask my audience if they have any questions. Please feel free to ask.
Can I ask a question? How often is this kind of data published that you were able to ascertain here today, Vic?
Oh, it's pretty often. If you go on the reputed websites, they have a lot of construction data based on how the leakage is happening, where the construction economy is losing money, where it's thriving, where it's making business. So in Canada right now, construction industry is booming pretty much. It's one of it's the new oil and gas that I can say. But because of the inefficient management, the industry is lacking somewhere.
Are there any kind of contracts that really especially have leakage? Are there parts? Is it more on the owner side? Where are you really seeing the biggest issues? Because there obviously are many different kinds of contracts within any construction project.
That's true. So, like I'll say in general, because of the lack of the communication, where we are not able to keep the documents safe, and not able to like assign them, or not able to do a fluent communication between the stakeholders, between the subcontractors. So there are so many contracts in a construction project, like contracts for some type of work, for example, woodwork or maybe concreting work. But if you're not able to see when the contract is ending or where the contract has been stored, then it creates a real problem. So I'll give you a life like a personal example. So I used to work for a company, and we were doing $1 million, like millions of $1 million worth of project, and everything was going smooth when the planning stage was there. We were like thriving. But at the end of the project, we were supposed to maintain contracts based on the testing of the materials. When we were handing over the project, the client asked for where's the contracts for the material test. And because our project manager was maintaining a physical file, and all of a sudden the file disappeared. That created a lot of hassle. The poor guy was let go because of that. And my company was also penalized, and then we had to get the tests again, and they were pretty expensive. So a lot of rework, a lot of confusion between the teams, and the reputation also hampered.
For sure, for sure. Do we have any other people on the call today that can share their examples of particular issues around contracts? Because what we want to do in this live stream today is potentially show you how Trace Cost has a particular and specialized module. We'll go through a workflow, but if there are people that want to offer up their own experiences, we're happy to hear them, as well as people on our team today as well. I mean, just to give our audience some further coverage, we've got Abby and we've got Yulia on the call as well, and they are project managers and project coordinators in their own right. So any of the sharing of your own experiences would help to to color out, because what we really want to do is get into the details of examples. I think that to me is the best mirror to be able to show the effects. And other than that, Vic, go back to your the slides and the telling of what you feel is going to be valid today for our audience.
That's true.
I'd like to share something, Stephanie.
Sure.
I remember, when we talk about contracts, it's not just contracts that come into play. It's a lot more than just the word contract. It includes, basic day-to-day communications and correspondences between different stakeholders at the construction project site. It could be different RFIs, it could be different submittals, transmittals, any of such correspondences. So I remember when I was working in Dubai, any of the contracts that GCs have with their clients, they are time bound mostly. Now, GCs are the one who bear all the brunt of any delays, any cost overruns, any schedule overruns. Now, as per the contract, if there is a certain documentation that is needed from the client side, let's say certain designs, certain local government work permits that are required before the work is started, at times when those are delayed, usually what happens is GCs are still the one who bear the losses or who bear the brunt. Now, what my ex-company used to do is, although they were still doing it manually, they did not deploy a proper construction management platform. But since they were manually properly tracking the contracts, they actually marked the number of days in total, all across the span of, let's say, 2 years. What was the delay that was there from the client side, wherein the work permits were not given in time, wherein the designs were not given in time, wherein the specifications were not given in time. Now, when the project was delayed, the GC, I was working for a GC, so the GC was able to put up a claim to the client that went the other way around. And it actually worked because the company had the document controllers basically had maintained all the proper records of where the delays happened, what were the correspondences and the communications that were sent from the GCs to the clients. And this is where an effective contract management comes into picture. That is, you have to use a proper setup that helps you do that.
And I will hope that you'll be able to show your workflow and how that can actually be broken down. Because again, as we always know, it's in the details. I just want to take 1 minute here to give a shout out for Harrison Waters, who's joining us here from Spring, Texas, that he took his time and he's here to listen and hopefully share his comments on anything that resounds with him throughout this conversation. So thank you, Harrison, for jumping on and acknowledging that you were, listening in. So let's carry on, Vic, and let's see what else we can help to share with our audience.
Absolutely. So on the screen, you're able to see a simple workflow of how the contract management system from TraceCost help general contractors and construction companies to keep their contracts, their letters, their documentations, their RFIs, their submittals in place, and they can use it, store it, and share it with the stakeholders, their architects. So the information goes and flows to and fro. And if you want, I can show you how the actual thing works on the web platform.
For sure. If you can go through a workflow, if somebody was, new to this kind of a system,
Yep.
What does that look like, and how would they even start to be onboarding their particular contract, I'll say, database at this point in time?
Absolutely. So the system is created in a really simplified way. Anyone who's able to, handle a mobile application would be able to use TraceCost contract management system. They would be able to create or configure their own templates, their own letters through the system. And then they can send information out or receive information, keep track of all the revisions and all the records, and assign the people who, are supposed to take the action on that following document. So I'll show you a little bit of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I would just wanted to jump in and add one thing. I know construction industry, lots of documents are involved within the construction industry, but when it comes to contract management system, this is one type of module which can be used by any company pertaining to any industry, right? Because what contract management system focuses is on giving importance on how you manage your documents and contracts can be a part of any industry, not specifically construction. So can be useful to any company, whichever industry the company is part of.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So as we go through this, so perhaps can you give us an example? So if it was a lump sum contract or a cost plus contract, does it get touched any differently, one type of contract to another? How is your system accounting for those differences?
Yeah, I can show you. So it's really simplified. Like the person who is using the system can create contracts based on their requirement. Maybe it's a lump sum or any different kind of contracts. And so we have designed the system in such a way. So there is a thing called the master portal, where you're able to upload or configure or create your own templates, your own designs. And then once the designs are created through the masters, you're able to use them in the contract management system for creating correspondence or receiving or sending out documents or letters or RFIs or submittals. So it's really simplified. You go here, and on top of that, the trace cost system is smart enough to create authorization system. So if there's any approval, so we have multi layers of authorization. So for example, if it goes from the site supervisor, then the approval goes to the site engineer, project manager, the higher chain in the company. So everybody is in loop, everybody is in chain, and they're able to see what changes are happening and where they're happening exactly.
So Vic, this is all permission based then?
Absolutely. This is all permission based. The person would only be able to see what they have been authorized to see. For example, if it's a project manager, they would be able to see, entire project. But if it's a person who's working at the site and they've been designated with a particular activity, so they would not see anything else except that particular activity or the document in that particular activity. And the access can also be given to the subtrades, the clients, so they are also able to access all the documents, all the data.
Could you show us a specific example in terms of what you've got here, or not at this point today?
No, absolutely. So I'll give you a brief, because the system is pretty vast and pretty comprehensive, but for the sake of demo, I'll walk you through a simple example. So as you're able to see here, CMS matrix. So here you are able to define the authorities of the people who would be validating data. Then you are able to create the categories of your correspondence management, maybe any sort of categories, subcategories. You're also able to create your letter formats. For example, if you have received some sort of document and now you have to send it out, so you make or draft a letter format and then send it to the responsible person. So I'll walk you through a simple a flow,
Sure.
how you're able to create outflow document where you would be sending a document to one of your clients or the companies. So are you all following with me?
Yes.
Awesome. So you simply go on, create your outflow, and then the window pops up. You don't have to type in a lot of things. Like most of the things are, drop down menus. So you select the division, the project, and the segment and the project that you want to create the information for. So for example, here I'd select this international building international. This is just a dummy data. And it's popping up. So you select the information, you select the category. Maybe it's what is the reason for the documentation? Is it contract delays or other subcontract submissions? So this all information categories and subcategories can be created into the master setup. So you just do that. And then this is the simple format. You select the letter number. So if it's a previous letter, system is smart enough to take out the previous references. It will automatically take the previous references. You were able to put in the date. So based on the client list, you are able to, through the pop-up list, you are able to take the clients out because this is a dummy setup. So there is no list, but once the actual setup goes live for a customer, they would be able to select that. So who are you sending the document to? And like who
do they have to have their own lettering system, or
Yes.
at onboarding when do you decide what that lettering system is?
No, so we do not decide it. The customer or the user who's actually using it, they decide how the flow looks like, how the letter's gonna look like. All the format can be created through the system.
So the letter number is a mandatory field, I can see, right?
No, it's not a mandatory field.
Oh, it's not a mandatory field. Oh,
Yeah, if the user wants to have a letter at the bottom, they can have it. If they do not want, then they can, it's an optional field. They can skip it.
and this all takes place at the onboarding stage. Is that correct, Vic? Because you'd have to be aligning how they manage their contracts now and, how they label them. so to speak.
Absolutely. And for that, we have a program called Train the Trainer program, where we do the hand holding for 3 months. We provide in-person and virtual support, and we make sure that you have understood the system and you're able to take care of it. And it, just in case, if you come across any hurdle, we are there to support you.
So Vic, what job roles do you tend to do at the onboarding stage? Who is involved with helping to make sure that the system is set up to obviously work with the contractor, and this, I'll say generally speaking, the contractor, and who's helping in the back office to set this up?
Yeah, so basically, from our side, we appoint a dedicated project manager who sits with you, your team, and first streamline all the flows, how you take care of your documents and data, how you do your RFIs and submittals. Once everything is in place, we put the information in the system, and then we start training the person, how to set up the initial bit of the system, how to do the master setup, and then how to, carry forward the flow, how to receive or send out documents, or how to store documents as well. So the system has another capability rather than just sending out and receiving document. There is a document search engine as well, and I would like to showcase you that as well.
So just one quick question. So on the contractor side, what job roles do you tend to be onboarding?
Stephanie, if I may answer that.
Sure.
The primary job role that would take care of at least the contract management system part would be the document controllers. Yeah. They would be the best people to handle the CMS portion of the trace cost system.
Okay, good.
But I would not like to box up any person who's responsible. It could be procurement manager, it could be project manager. Any person who's handling the to and fro of the documents would be the best person to use contract management system.
That was the answer I was looking for. I want to be able to just so the audience understands who this, because it depends on the size of the contractor. It depends on how they who's on their payroll, who would look after this kind of a thing.
Yeah. So
just
like
any person
who's in charge of sending or receiving the documents or taking control of the document would be the right person to use contract management system.
Would the owner of the project ever be permissioned?
Absolutely. The stakeholders. Yeah, that's correct. So the stakeholders can also see what's going on in the projects. They would be given their own access, and they can use the system like however they want to.
Terrific. So it goes all the way up and down the value chain, right down to whatever level of subcontractor might have to be, and obviously need to have access to certain parts of contracts.
Absolutely. On their individual parts, they would be able to keep track of what's going on in the project in terms of the documentation.
Very good. Okay, so if you want to carry on, that's terrific.
Yeah, so we are on the document search now. So for example, if there are n numbers of documents stored in a project, and you want to pull out some specific document, so you select your project. There could be any residential project, for example. You select the category, and for example, if it's budget, you select the document type. It could be CAD drawing. It could be something that you have received from your architects or something from your contractors, or any sort of drawing or documents system is able to store. So you select the type of drawing that you want to pull out. You also have an option to be more precise and write the name of the document, from when and to the document was received or put into the system, and then you click on the go. The list will pop up, and then you can easily use the documents for your perusal.
So Vic, so let's use design build contract as a for example. Are you setting it up no differently than if it was any other type of contract, whether it was unit pricing or times and material contract? It all set up the same way, but you kind of have to be explicit when you set it up of those details. Is that fair?
That's fair. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the system has the capability to change the configuration and based on the person's requirement. If there are some sub trades or some contractors, maybe they're concrete contractors, they have their own workflows, own documentation, so they can set up the system as per their specific requirement. Nothing special needs to be done. Just go into the masters and then create the changes that you want in your document management or contract management system to be.
Also, Stephanie, depending on what sort of contract it is, let's say if we talk about design build type of contract usually has less involvement of external stakeholders, whereas the unit price contracts, they have more involvement of external stakeholders. So now the way these two contracts are in a way different is the formats vary a bit. The approval chains vary a lot between the two contracts. So let's say when a client comes on board, the first thing that Vic showed us, that's where we set up the masters. So there are three basic things that we do. We first categorize their entire documentation and different contracts that they might have. The second portion of it was the approval mechanism. So this is where the type of contract would make a difference for when it comes to approval mechanism. At the same time, the third portion was what sort of formats that the company uses. Uh, while we ask companies to start using such systems, such contract management system to make it more efficient, we don't want them to change their processes a lot, because then it's a lot of strain on the organizational structure. So we have given them an option to keep following the same approval chains, keep following the same letter formats or same correspondence formats, put them up into the system at when they start using the system at the beginning, and they keep on following that. So in a way, all different sorts of contracts, whether it's design build, unit price, cost plus, they can all be catered to with the trace cost contract management system.
Okay, thank you for clarifying a little more about that particular detail, because again, that's every contractor, to your point, has their own mix of contracts, and the more that our audience can understand the breadth and the scope and how you handle that. I would like to know, in terms of, I'm imagining you're going to tell me it's infinite, but is there an infinite number of contracts that can be held in the system, or do you have to declare that at the beginning of the onboarding?
So yeah, I'll answer this, Stephanie. First thing I wanted to pitch in before we at Trace Cost, because I would make that the things we are discussing, this would make more sense if I add this at this point of time. First is, at Trace Cost, we offer customization capabilities to our users, to our customers, and because we understand that no two business function the same way. There are different ways of functioning, so we understand their requirement first, draft a business blueprint document, and basis those, customize the software according which can meet their needs. Second, answering your question is yes. The answer is yes. You can store unlimited contracts. The reason is, again, we don't put restrictions on the cloud space. We are hosted on AWS cloud, which is one of the most secure system in the world. So there's no restrictions on the storage, be it contracts, be it any photographs, be it any videos, be it any other documents which you want to store, that can be easily stored on AWS cloud, and the instance of AWS would remain within the geographical boundaries of the country from which the client is or the customer is, and the data can be downloaded by the customers from any part of the world at any time.
Very good. Good. Very good. I also think it's important that you bring up AWS and where it's hosted, and the fact that it's cloud-based. Again, these are terms that software people understand and use and apply every day, but are not necessarily so as familiar to all people in construction, because that's not their world. So getting a clarification of where this data is stored, how you store it as a company yourself, Trace Cost, is to me a very valid kind of information to share. Vic, I just want to know, do you want me to add your slides back now into our live stream? Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah, please.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit ahead of time. I do want to get into this notion of integrations. I do think, obviously, construction is no different than any other industry. They have their own, each contractor, each construction professional has their own I'll say basket of software and platforms they're using. So to understand where and how trace cost integrates is very important. So take it away, Vic.
Absolutely. So yeah, as we are official SAP partners, and then we do the integration of most of the major systems, be it either the legacy systems, just like Primavera, P6, or any accounting softwares, as mentioned on the slide. Also on top, I'll like to take you to the previous slide. Oh, that's the different slide actually. No worries, but as we were talking about the training, so we train till 3 months. On top, the system allows the flexibility to extend the license to your subcontractors, to your sub trades. As we were mentioning, there is, you can add n number of contracts into the system. You can also add unlimited projects and unlimited users.
Very good. Is there one particular integration that you find is much more common with trace cost? I would imagine Excel is one of them, but as far as vendor, integrations are concerned, it's good to see that, you work so closely with BIM 360 and Autodesk.
I would like to answer here, Stephanie. One type of integration which is very common for us is SAP. The reason for that is, as Vic mentioned, we are an official SAP partner. Trace cost as a solution is listed on the SAP cloud. So SAP customers, what they can do is they can download trace cost as an extension and use it for their project management needs. So multiple enterprise customers with whom the trace cost is currently working are an existing SAP partners. So it's been a normal and it's been a routine for us to integrate SAP for them with trace cost. So that's one. And then we have done it for multiple of our clients who are based out of North America, is integrating trace cost with two of the well-known accounting softwares which are out there in the market, which is Intuit, QuickBooks, and Sage 300.
Sure.
So that's another common integration which we have done for our customers.
And so give me an example. So if you were integrating, for example, with QuickBooks, what are some of the common back and forths that are happening between the contracts? I would imagine it would have to be something that was numbers related. Is that fair?
That's true, Stephanie. So the first thing that would keep on going back and forth would be the monthly or weekly, depending on what the organization, what time period or time frame the organization wants. Let's say if we talk about monthly, so monthly data keeps on flowing from trace cost to the accounting systems. This data includes, but it is not limited to the quantity of the work that has been completed by the different trades, sub-trades, and subcontractors that are working with the GC. Now, different materials that have been ordered through the other modules of trace cost, the bills, the quantities, and the invoices for those flows down to the accounting systems. And at the end of the month, the payables, that is what the GC needs to pay to different stakeholders. That is the payout, and then the receivables as well from the client or from the different stakeholders. So these are the two prime or the main data that keeps on flowing back and forth between the accounting systems and Facebook.
Very good. Very good. Terrific. Terrific. I love the details. I just think it's very helpful to the audience. We're kind of hitting around the half an hour mark, and I want to respect everybody's time and certainly our audience's time today. So what I'd like to do is just throw out a few questions that I've got here. What size of company or organization starts to be the right fit for trace costs and starts to have, that threshold of needing to get more formal, I'll say, about managing their contracts?
To be honest, just like I previously said, it's not a good idea to box, the segment of who would be able to use contract management system. Any company which has documentation management in place and they want to digitalize it, they want to have the documents on cloud and use it through the system. So they would be able to use it. But any company which has at least 5 to 6 members, I think that would be the ideal fit. And then 5 to 6 to 200 employees, or unlimited employees, would be a good fit. So,
and is there a level of expertise that people need to have when you start our onboarding? What would make a smoother transition to onboarding Trace Cost? What would they need to have set up on their side ahead of time?
Yeah, so it's quite simple, Stephanie. The person who to whom the training is being provided can be a single person, can be a group of people, right? So the all we need is basic understanding of the mobile phone and laptop, or how to operate a system, right? Once a person has these two basic understanding, trace cost. The way we have built is we have kept the mobile application and the web application really simple, right? It's self-explanatory at most of the cases, but if the individual has basic knowledge of the platform or the computer system, he'll be easily able to understand the web application and the mobile application. That's not a challenge at all.
All right. And I want to just close by asking one of the most obvious areas that keeps coming up in everything these days as far as tech is concerned, and that's the idea around artificial intelligence. Can you perhaps speak to how your system, and particularly the contracts management module, is starting to think about artificial intelligence? Who would like to field that question?
That's a really interesting question. And yes, we are inculcating artificial intelligence and predictive analysis into our system. If I specifically talk about the contract management system, so the system is smart enough to keep track of all the revisions, and then whenever you type in a letter number, system automatically pops up the previous revisions. So you can take the document out, and you have the entire history of that particular document.
Good. And so are you using perhaps the details in contracts to perhaps in the future help your customers to write their contracts?
I think with the help of machine learning, we would be able to help our customers write the contracts as well.
Okay.
And as we speak, Stephanie, the team, the technical team is working day in day out to develop this functionality, as you have rightly mentioned. We are working towards that direction, wherein AI machine learning can help write the contracts, and will soon bring up as a feature this as a feature on Trace Cost platform.
All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap it there. If there's no more questions from the audience. We as a team, both myself for Intelligent Construction Opportunities and the team here at Trace Cost, I want to thank you very much for taking your time and sharing your insights and the value in your platform. We will be connecting with people that registered for this particular live stream after the fact, and offering them some valid collateral, and look out for a few video shorts we'll be doing, so that people can further think about, is this something for them? Is this something they'd want to consider? Are you having issues right now in terms of managing your contracts that maybe you'd want to take a deeper dive to understand more about this? And of course, Intelligent Construction Opportunities, we source your tech. We help to work with our partners like Trace Cost to make sure that you're building the right stack for yourselves, not just for now, but into the future, and so that we can build your stack that reflects how you are growing your own business. And with that, again, I want to thank Ash, Vic, Yulia, and Abby for having participated today. Didn't hear too much from Yulia, but
yes, Stephanie, if I can
sure.
ask one small question.
Sure.
So I'd like to clarify for our audience more about how would a contract management system benefit users who handle multiple contracts with various vendors, suppliers, or partners. If we can,
Sure.
you can.
Absolutely, Julia. So for different users from different departments, contract management system would be able to help you keep track of all the documentation. For example, if you're a procurement manager, and then you have procured some machineries, you know when the contract for the maintenance is ending, for the warranties is ending. So, or if you have hired or rented any machinery, so you know when the contract is ending. So, with every single department, they would be able to take the benefit of contract management system in their own way. And to conclude, I'd say like it's if a company or agency does not have a data management system, it's like sailing into like waters without a compass. So you don't know where you're going. You're just flowing. So it's better to deploy a system, something like trace cost, which can help you optimize your documentation. All the processes would be in place, and yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody else have any other thing they want to add, or any other clarification, or this is the time to do it?
No clarification, just thanking you, Stephanie, for having us, having Trace Cost team here on the live stream. It really helps a young team like us. And again, to the audience, thank you again for joining us on a Friday. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank
and
you
with
all.
that, I'm going to end our broadcast. Thank you to everyone that attended.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.